Good evening, everyone. Today is Thursday, April 3rd, 2025. The time is now 7 o'clock p.m., and we will call this regularly scheduled council meeting to order. First thing we're going to do is have our invocation led by Kenny Carter from Alvin Methodist Church, and then we'll have our pledges of allegiance. Councilman Castro, would you do our American pledge? Sure will. Garvey, you're on Texas. Thank you. Please rise.
All right. Let's pray. Lord, I thank you so much for this day. I thank you for the breath of life that you give us to breathe in, and Lord, just the way that you get us up and get us focused and get us moving each and every day. Thank you, Lord, for this night. You have the council gathered to make decisions and conduct business for this great community of Alvin and beyond. Lord, I thank you for their servant's heart of the council and how they have answered your call in their life into leadership. May they seek your counsel, Lord, as they direct and make decisions for safe, healthy family environments for both family and community. Allow them always to have eyes to see, ears to hear, and hearts of compassion to see and act on the vision you have ready to unfold to building a community of integrity and faith in you, for your way is flawless, Lord. In the difficult or unpopular decisions that they will have to be decided, let the outcome be based on your wisdom spoken through this council. Lord, may what they're a part of always include setting the stage for future leaders to lead well. Encourage them, Lord, at just the right time. Allow and pace them to get the rest they need, both physically and mentally, and most of all, spiritually. Remind them, Lord, to spend time with family and friends and build lifelong relationships. Bless their churches, bless their families, Lord. I ask for you to bless this great city of Alvin, for it is in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit that we ask. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the
Flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you, Pastor. Appreciate your prayer. Okay. Next, we're going to have two proclamations. The first proclamation we're going to do is for Crime Victims' Rights Week for April 6th through 12th, 2025. And then we'll have a proclamation for Telecommunications Week, April 13th through the 19th, 2025. So if I could ask Maribel and those with the crime victims, if you all meet me up at the front, please. So the proclamation as issued says, whereas National Crime Victims' Right Week is a time to acknowledge and address barriers to justice for all crime victims while recognizing the achievements of the victims' rights movement. And whereas this year's theme of kinship calls us to center our shared humanity in supporting survivors and victims of crime by ensuring access to essential services, rights, and healing. And whereas crime impacts individuals and communities alike, and true strength lies in fostering connections, actively listening, and working together to create lasting change and a future filled with hope for all survivors. Now, therefore, I, Gabe Adami, as the mayor of the city of Alvin, and on behalf of the city council, do hereby proclaim the week of April 6th through the 12th, 2025, as Crime Victims' Rights Week, and a call upon all residents to stand in solidarity with crime victims and to honor the dedicated advocates who work tirelessly to bring hope, healing, and justice to our community. Thank you. Maribel, it's going to be a lot of pleasure to present this proclamation to you. Council? You need to scoot back?
Yes.
Okay. If everybody would scoot back towards the dais. would you like to say some words?
Yes. The Alvin Police Department, the Victim Assistance Program, we are hosting the 23rd annual luncheon, and we invite you to attend. We have a guest speaker, which is a victim of crime, who will have the opportunity to speak on behalf of the experiences that they had through the criminal justice system. Also, we have a butterfly release for those to honor those victims that have murdered in the hands of a criminal. And we have the district attorney's office here in Angleton, and they also have an event that's following that same day, which is on April the 8th. We have the luncheon at 11 a.m., and it's Tuesday at the Alvin Senior Center. And that evening, they have the candlelight vigil, which will be at the Angleton District Attorney's office at 6:30 p.m. So please try to come out and support the crime victims. 11 a.m. I did right. Okay. The chief wants to make sure. Thank you, Chief. Thank you very much.
We thank you all you do for our community. You've done this for as long as I can remember, Maribel, and I can't think of anybody better in the position than you do. Thank you for all you do for our communities.
Thank you.
Thank you all. The next proclamation we have is for public safety telecommunicators. Who's going to come up and? Okay.
Oh, you felt good to say that, didn't you?
I am pleased to read this proclamation that says, whereas public safety telecommunicators have been nationally recognized since 1981, celebrating the invaluable and often unseen work of emergency dispatchers, and whereas these dedicated professionals serve as a vital link between our community and life-saving emergency services, demonstrating unwavering professionalism, compassion, and efficiency while ensuring seamless communication with first responders. And whereas the public safety telecommunications of the city of Alvin exemplify commitment and courage, bringing order to chaos and providing reassurance and support to citizens in their moments of greatest need. Now, therefore, I, Gabe Adami, as the mayor of the city of Alvin, Texas, and on behalf of the city council, do hereby proclaim the week of April 13th through the 19th, 2025 as Public Safety Telecommunications Week in the city of Alvin, Texas, and encourage all residents to join us in honoring these silent heroes whose dedication and service keep our community safe. Thank you.
One, two, three. I'm gonna take a few.
Want to say a few words? Chief said that was part of it. All right. Well, we cannot say thank you enough to our telecommunicators. Obviously, y'all are the frontline defense, and y'all make the world go around. These other guys, they just take orders from y'all, right? we thank y'all very, very much. Thank you. Okay, next we're going to have Mr. Paul Chavez for the Economic Development give us a departmental presentation.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor, council members. It's an honor to present to you tonight my first annual report on economic development activities within the city of Alvin. What I've done is I've taken all of my action items and I've broken them out into two categories, internal and external. So internal action items are things that affect everything inside the city limits of Alvin. And then external are things that I do outside of the city that brings eyeballs, that brings people here, that brings developers to our community. So I've broken them out into those two categories. So what we'll do is we'll start with internal action items. And a lot of that we'll start at the beginning. So I started a year ago today. And so one of the first things I got started on doing was the Livable Center study for the city of Alvin. That was a study that was already in place. So luckily, I've had experience with livable centers, so I picked it up for where it was at the time and brought it over the goal line to help bring it to its conclusion, which we approved, I believe it was September, October of this year. Also, during that same time, I got involved with the Comprehensive Master Plan update, and I worked with the City Secretary's office on building the RFP and also building with everyone on staff, committee members that would be meeting with the consultant team that we selected for the Comprehensive Master Plan update. Again, thankfully I have experience with comprehensive master plans, so I knew what we needed to see when it comes to deliverables from the consultant team. So that is currently in play right now, and we should be seeing a final report from the consultant team on our comp plan update by August or September of this year. And some of the things that I've requested that they include with their deliverables is a chart, a listing, if you will, of the various projects that they're recommending and the timeline or the project status for each of those. Now, what I also did was I had the Livable Centers team meet with the Comprehensive Master Plan team. So the two talked about some of the things that were being recommended on Livable Centers side, because I want those integrated into our comp plan. So their final recommendations will include what we've already done so far with that current study and put that into the new one with action items that will be going forward. We also, we have the Downtown Development Grant Program. So that program was already in play when I came on board. So what we've done with that is we've folded it over and we've concluded the work that the Downtown Development team did. Excellent work since 2018, the Development Committee. So we closed out that committee and we've taken their program and we've included it into the incentive policy, which is another thing that I worked on when I first started here. And that's completely built brand new from the ground up, our new incentive policy. But I included what was going on with the Downtown Development study, Downtown Development Grant Program, included that within our overall incentive policy. So, and then from there, we created the Economic Development Advisory Panel, which is pretty much going to be, it's an advisory group that meets to discuss some of the economic development action items that we have in the city of Alvin. This will kind of be our first step towards an economic development corporation. So this will be our baby steps, if you will, into ultimately moving into having an economic development group that will be administering and working on grants and working on sales tax initiatives and incentives and business proposals and things of that nature. But EDAC was created. We've met one time. We have a few more meetings coming up, and we'll be talking about that in a little bit. Also, we worked on a 380 agreement. So that was my first one working with you guys. So that was passed, and so far going well with that, as well as being involved with the TERS program, the Tax Increment Reinvestment Zone. So I'll be involved in working with the tax increment reinvestment zones number 1 and number 2, and I'll be working on managing those programs. I also mentioned, on the other slide I mentioned that I track residential developments. And that's really important for economic development. Normally, economic development groups do not focus on residential because sales tax is what normally drives economic development groups and corporations. However, with Alvin, we have so many single-family homes coming online. It's really important to track that. And that's an important message that developers and prospects need to know what's happening in our community. We have over 1,900 single-family homes that are coming online, that are either built out or coming online. That's a lot. And that's something a lot of these people in the Loop or in the Woodlands or in Katy, they don't know that story, and they need to be aware of that. That's a large number of people that are moving into our community. And there's more. So that's an important story that needs to be conveyed. So I keep track of that, and that's also posted on our website. Local business visits, these are not just me walking into a restaurant or whatever and buying a cup of coffee and saying, how you doing, and then leaving. This is meeting with the owners or the managers of these companies and understanding their story, how they're doing in our community. What can we do better? What can we do to help you to grow your business? Or what are some concerns that you have? So I've met with 38 of those so far in our community. Real estate visits, local real estate visits, I've had 22 of those, and that's going to the site, because I see a lot of these sites, as we mentioned earlier, Councilmember Vaughn, there's a lot of these sites that you can see online, but I physically go there, sometimes I'll meet with the broker or developer who has that property, so we can see like what's going to work and what's not going to work on their site. So local business visits, real estate visits, I'm heavily involved with the Northern Brazoria Area Chamber. Oh, they just changed their name. Northern Brazoria Chamber of, I'm sorry, Carrie. Northern Brazoria County Chamber of Commerce, heavily involved with them. Carrie is an excellent, excellent resource when it comes to networking and business connectivity, so I'm glad to be working with him. TxDOT meetings, going through a lot of that. I've had experience with the highway expansion of 146, so I'm taking that and I've applied that to what's going on with 99. So 35, as we all know, 35 is about to be expanded to 99. So some of the things that I felt were important to bring over was placemaking. And that especially involves with economic development, because when I bring these developers or new businesses to town, I want them to see our logos on those MSE walls, those overpass walls. So we're going to be having those put on there. They're also going to be doing wildflower restoration along the highway. And then they've blue-lined areas on the far north side and the far south side of the city along 99 for placemaking. So in case we want to have larger placemaking signs of welcome to Alvin, you're entering Alvin, things of that nature. Those are really important when it comes to bringing in a prospect so they can see that we're on top of the development of 99 and this is our home and it looks great. So these are things that I'm working on with TxDOT. With Texas Economic Development Council, that is the organization, I'm sure many of you have heard of it. It is the organization that represents economic development action items and initiatives. It also involves a lot of training, and that's really important to stay on top of latest legislation, understanding new programs that are happening around the state, and those are things that I can bring back to Alvin. And then PDMs, pre-development meetings. Those are an excellent, excellent source for leads and prospect development. And I think Michelle is here tonight. She does an amazing job of getting all the directors together to talk about and address concerns for prospects that come to the city of Alvin. So that is a great tool for community and business development. So I attend those as often as I can. I mentioned here I've gone to 47 of them. I mainly go to the ones that are focused on business or warehouse or commercial development. Residential is, again, not something that economic development normally gets involved in, but it's something I still attend once in a while. But I mainly do as I follow up with the business PDMs. And when I follow up with the prospects who attend these pre-development meetings, I'll follow up after the meeting, and I'll ask them, like, how did it go? Is there anything, what can we do to get your project passed to the goal line? Right? To get it from what they're thinking about doing to finally putting shovels into the ground or building a building. And most of the time, actually all of the time that I've met with these prospects, they're like, the PDM was great. It answered all of my questions. My concern is just this particular site isn't going to work for me. I need to find a different site. So that's where I kick in. I'm like, okay, let's find you something else. And then we go through the process again. So I'm really grateful for those PDMs. And then local presentations to the Lions Club, Citizens Academy, and so forth. So again, keeping the message about what's happening in the city, economic development-wise, internally, that's an important thing to do for local business growth. External action items. So these are things that I've done outside of the city that help bring people in. So Texas Business Real Estate and the Houston Business Journal, they've interviewed me on action items and things that are happening around the city. Houston Industrial Conference, I was selected as a panelist for that. That's also really important because what I've noticed in Alvin is that we have a lot of retail, we have some warehousing, some commercial, but we don't have a lot on the industrial side. And I feel that for our economy, it's important to balance that portfolio of of economic development in our community. So those various industries that we have, we're very heavy on one side, and I see that industrial is kind of lacking here. So I'm working to kind of cultivate more industrial, light industrial type developments and prospects to our community. It kind of, you know, as I'm sure the mayor would understand, balancing a portfolio, that's really important, especially when the economy goes one way or the other, right? So being in front of those industrial developers and industrial leads, that was an important, that was a really important step for us there. Commercial Gateway, I was selected as an economic outlook panelist. I talked about some of the things that I see going on in the northern Brazoria area, specifically with the Alvin market, and then presentations. And I believe, Councilmember Moore, you were at one of these with Stuart Title. So I go to various offices around the Houston area, in the Woodlands, the Galleria, again, inside the loop. And the idea behind going to their offices, so Collier's, Transwestern, Newquest, I go to their offices to talk about what's going on in Alvin. Many of them know about what's happening in Alvin, or at least they have Alvin on their radar, but they don't know the details about what's going on. They want clarification, rumor control, things of that nature. So I go to them because at this point, it's, what's the analogy? If you can't take Muhammad to the mountain, you bring the mountain to Muhammad. It's that thinking right now, is I take our story and I bring it in front of them. I also know, based on my past experience, that a lot of these groups will have team meetings Monday or Tuesday mornings where they talk about deals that they're working on and things projects they're working on. So they're all there at the office. And sometimes they'll bring in a guest developer or a guest economic development professional. So I get on that schedule and get in front of them. So I've been doing a lot of that outside of the area to talk about what's going on, but I also met with the Chocolate Bio Citizens Advisory Panel, and that involves a lot of the heavy industry that's in our area, as well as the Houston Region Economic, we love acronyms, Houston Region Economic Development Alliance. That's a group of all the economic development professionals in the area, so talking about what's going on in Alvin in front of those groups as well. Prospect visits. This is something that I'm sure a lot of people are keen to note. Prospect visits in Alvin. So I've broken out the various prospects who have been in the city, that I've driven them around the city, shown them sites, looked at areas for their development, for their project, and then off-site visits. And this is where I go to their office and talk about what's going on, or I go to their business and talk about opportunities that are here in the city. Of the 15 off-site visits, 5 of those have translated to in the city. So I went to their business, talked about Alvin, and then they decided, okay, you know what, now's a good time. I want to go see some sites in Alvin. So they translated over into in-city visits. And I want to see that number continue to rise and continue to grow. And then, you know, what would be an economic development presentation without talking about all the new businesses that are coming into town? So this is what we've had so far that it's noteworthy in our community. And then trade shows. A big part of finding prospects and finding leads for the community is to attend these trade shows. And there's 2 major ones that I go to, Retail Live and ICSC Red River. One's in Austin and one's in Dallas. So as you can see from here, one is heavily focused on retailers, franchise owners, and commercial developers and so on. And the other one's more on the development side. For some of these trade shows, I have to make appointments ahead of time, because it's a madhouse of people. There's hundreds of people at this trade show trying to get in front of these prospects to say, my city's the best or my area is the best, but I make an appointment to get there early and have private meetings with these groups to talk about what's going on in the city. So sometimes that translates into other meetings in their regional office if they have a Houston office, or if I'm in Dallas for another trade show, then I'll go visit them at their office in the city. So these 2 have been excellent sources for retail leads into the community. More times than not, people will say, I know where Alvin is, Nolan Ryan. And I'm like, yep, Nolan Ryan, yeah. But there's also a lot more going on. We have the Grand Parkway that's going on. Yeah. But do you get to see Nolan Ryan? And I'm like, yep, I'm sure I do. I don't. Yeah. And they're like, okay, that's great. Can you get an autograph? I'm like, let's just get down to business. So that happens, but you know what? No one has ever said to me, okay, Alvin, what state is that in? people know where we are because a lot of these developers are following what's happening with the Grand Parkway. And they see that we're one of the last greenfield sites for that development. So we are on that radar. What they need to hear from us is what's happening. You know, rumor control, like, is it really going to be this and this coming to town? Tell us what's happening in your city. So that makes my job easier. That's certainly refreshing to hear how positive they are on our market. So at this point, you are probably saying to yourselves, Paul is really handsome. But, okay, well, and he's done a lot in the city over the past 12 months. But, yeah, see, there you go. But I also can tell that you're asking yourselves, what's next? And for that, I applaud you on your forward planning and your forward thinking. So let's talk about some things that are happening in economic development for the next 12 months. Now, remember, some of this may be contingent on budgets and so on, but these are things that I'm planning for over the next 12 months. So some key performance indicators, more local business visits, getting out there and talking with a lot of these local business owners. And that's going to be key because local business growth sometimes can provide the best sources for leads. Because when I go visit these local businesses, they will then talk to their constituents and be like, hey, I just heard from somebody from the city, and they really care. You should go talk to somebody at City Hall, or you should go talk to Paul, or you should come into the city because they are reaching out to us. So more local business visits and local real estate site visits. We have the Comprehensive Master Plan. Again, that's supposed to be coming before you late August, early September. So putting those plans and ideas into place for economic development budgeting-wise, and also just our game plan moving forward. And then I think Councilmember Vaughn and more, you probably saw that this morning. I've created a spreadsheet of brokers and developers, and I believe you're on that list as well. Brokers and developers who have sites in Alvin. Because we don't have zoning right now, it is tough to kind of ferret out all the different sites that are available for commercial and retail development. So what I'm doing is I'm reaching out to that community and I'm collecting all that information on their contacts, and then I send that list out, my prospect list. And it's all confidential, like I'll say restaurant number 1, restaurant number 2, they need this information or they need these kind of sites. So I've started that list now, and what I want to do is cultivate that list and get it higher and higher in the numbers of the different contacts that we have here. And then ultimately, what I would like to see is an Alvin Real Estate Day. So I mentioned earlier about taking Mohammed to the mountain, and bringing the mountain to Mohammed. I want to bring those developers to our community to see, feel, touch the available properties that we have here and the opportunities that are in Alvin. So, and that's an idea that you had shared with me as well, that I think Sugarland did, or Pearland. So Pearland has like a Pearland Day. So I want that for Alvin. That's going to be not near term, but that'll be a midterm kind of a project, because I need to get these names and information updated. But I really want to bring these people here to show them what we have available. EDAC. EDAC is going to be busy. I'm sorry. EDAC is going to be very busy. You're going to be very busy working with us. We currently have 3 meetings scheduled for the rest of the year, but that doesn't mean that's the only time we're going to be meeting, because if a prospect comes to us with an incentive application, I will be calling in the committee to meet with them earlier so we can process through or work through their proposal. We're going to be reviewing the comp plans findings on things that pertain to economic development. We'll also have a workshop on recommendations for market recruitment, market retention, land use, marketing. Ultimately, not in the near term, but ultimately, once we have an EDC, we would like to look at ideas for financing. So that would be revolving loan funds or things of that nature. And then target industries. So the group will be meeting to talk about various target industries that we can work on. I mentioned how I see that there's a lack of industrial in Alvin. So what are some other things that we can be working on? So I'm going to get that feedback from EDAC. And then I think a fun one would be the restaurant diversification workshop. My understanding is we need some diversification in the available places to eat and hang out here. So kind of get that feedback from the committee as well. And I'm almost done, sir. And so And so, Commercial Real Estate Summit. I've been selected to be a panelist for that at the end of this month. Next week, I'll be a guest on the Galveston Bay BizCast, which will be a podcast going out around the area. And then Tuesday, June 3rd, TxDOT wants to work with us on having a meeting to talk about the expansion of 99 through Alvin. So they want to have us be like introduce TxDOT officials. They will talk to the community about what's happening with 99, its time frame, if it's really happening, where it's going, and so forth. And we're going to have those meetings on an annual basis because it's important to keep that information active and in front of our community and in front of the business community. I felt that kind of frustration when I went through this with 146, so I think this would be a great opportunity to keep that information flowing. Again, Retail Live, ICSC Red River, those are two main trade shows that I'll be attending this coming year, budget approval, of course. Why I keep going back to the same trade show? Because I've been to these, they are effective. The people that we want to see in our community are at these shows, and people and companies change on a regular basis. Some declare bankruptcy and leave. Some have new people that come in. Some new businesses enter this Texas market. Cracker Barrel, for example. They're always looking for an expansion opportunity, and that list keeps changing. Something new I want to try this year is going to the Franchise Expo, and that'll be held in downtown Houston. The Franchise Expo will be interesting because those are franchisors who are looking for franchisees. But I want to get in the middle of that conversation because these franchisors at the Houston Expo have already identified the Houston MSA as where they want to expand. What I want to do is get in the middle of that and say, that's great. If you have your territory is like the southern Houston MSA, Brazoria County, and you need a site, I will help you find one in Alvin. That'll short circuit their site selection process. So they'll have somebody on the ground waiting or to help them find a place in Alvin. So I want to get in the middle of that. So that'll be at the Franchise Expo, which will be later on this year. And then if you ever need to get a hold of me, here's my contact information. I'm available 24/7 whenever you guys need me, or for anyone from the public needs to contact me, and I'm here to answer any questions.
Paul, I feel like I should clap after that. That was great.
Go ahead.
I want to applaud everything you've done this year. It's incredible. Your energy is super refreshing for economic development. But I also want to highlight something that I am incredibly happy that you said is industry. I think one thing that's important that Alvin is lacking is we have jobs, we have a lot of jobs, but we're lacking careers. And so the focusing on industry, I think it's going to be good for our citizens when they don't have to travel to work. They can just go 5 minutes down the road, go to work, and have more time with their families. So kudos to you for highlighting that, and I'd be interested to see where we go when it comes to industry stuff. So, thank you, Paul.
Any other questions or comments for Paul? Happy anniversary, Paul.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for being here. We certainly enjoy having you around. Keep up the great work.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Next time, cut your presentation in half. We don't have any public comment. Anybody like to remove anything from the consent agenda? Starting with you, Councilman Garvey.
No, sir.
No, Mayor.
No, sir. No, Mayor.
No, sir.
No, sir.
Entertain a motion for the consent agenda.
Mayor, move to pass consent agenda.
Please vote.
Motion passes unanimously. Items approved on the consent agenda are the March 6th City Council meeting minutes. Item B, consider the cancellation of April 17th, 2025 City Council meeting. Item C, proclaim the month of April 2025 as Fair Housing Month in the City of Alvin, Texas. Item D, consider authorizing the city manager to send a letter to the Brazoria County Mosquito Control District for the continuation of aerial spraying services for the 2025 season. Item E, an interlocal agreement between the City of Alvin and the Rose Sharon Volunteer Fire Department for the fire protection services for the Preservation Creek Subdivision Development Area through December 31st, 2025 for an amount not to exceed $12,000 and authorize the mayor to sign the agreement upon legal review. Item F, Resolution 25R07, suspending the April 19th, 2025 effective date of the proposal by CenterPoint Energy Resources Corporation, CenterPoint Energy Intex, and CenterPoint Energy Texas Gas, Houston, Texas Coast, South Texas, and Beaumont, East Texas geographic rate areas to implement interim GRIP rate adjustments for gas utility investments in 2024 and requiring delivery of this resolution to the company and to legal counsel. Item G, Resolution 25R08, a multi-year agreement with the Texas Department of Transportation for the temporary closure of a portion of Business 35 Gordon Street for the Home for the Holidays Parade. Authorize the mayor to sign the agreement upon legal review and setting forth other provisions related thereto. Item H, Resolution 25R09, a multi-year agreement with the Texas Department of Transportation for the temporary closure of the portion of Business 35 Gordon Street for the Frontier Day Parade, authorizing the mayor to sign the agreement upon legal review and setting forth other provisions related thereto. Item I, award a bid to Redico Construction Company Inc. for the Lift Station 23 expansion and elimination of lift stations 1, 15, 16, and 43 project in the amount of $34,907,604 and authorize the city manager to sign the contract upon legal review. Item J, award a bid to Balu Construction LLC for the 2025 Victory Lane and Clifford Street asphalt and drainage project in the amount of $1,696,000 and $28.99. And authorize the city manager to sign the contract upon legal review. Mayor?
All right. Thank you, Dixie. Moving on to other business. Item A, we're going to consider ordinance 25G, amending chapter 21, subdivisions and property development of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Alvin, Texas, for the purpose of amending Article 3, minimum standards for subdivision and/or re-subdivision, providing for penalties, providing for severability, and setting forth other provisions related thereto. Hello, Shanna.
Hi, Gabe, Mr. Mayor, and Council. Sorry. What you are considering tonight is Ordinance 25G. It will be amending Chapter 21 City Subdivision Ordinance. So the Planning Commission discussed the proposed changes at the Planning Commission meetings on February and March 18th, both of those meetings, and was recommended unanimously at their March 18th meeting. This amendment will change the number of required access points in a subdivision. A minimum of 2 access points will be required for a subdivision with more than 150 dwelling units. So currently, the ordinance requires a minimum of 2 access points, but also allows for a boulevard entrance to count as a second point of access. Planning Commission recommended this ordinance amendment, to prevent large subdivisions with only 1 access point, for example, Mustang Crossing. Any questions?
Any questions for Shanna? If not, I'll entertain a motion, please.
Mayor, I move to approve ordinance 25G, amending chapter 21, subdivisions and property development of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Alvin, Texas, for the purpose of amending Article 3, minimum requirements for subdivision and/or re-subdivision, providing for penalties, providing for severability, and setting forth other provisions related thereto.
Second.
Please vote.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shanna. Item B, consider ordinance 25H, amending chapter 5, buildings of the Code of Ordinances, City of Alvin, Texas, to adopt the 2024 International Building, Swimming Pool and Spa, Residential Plumbing, Mechanical, Fuel, Gas, Energy Consumption, Existing Building and Property Maintenance Codes. Each is published by the International Code Council, providing certain amendments and deletions to said standard codes, providing a penalty of an amount not to exceed $2,000 for each violation of any provision hereof, and providing for a repealer clause, a severability clause, a savings clause, and an effective date. Hi, Michelle.
Hello, how are y'all? Of course, this is just, we're adopting building codes again, which we typically do. We try to stay so that we're no more than 5 code years behind the code. So we have to do that in order to get good ISO ratings throughout the city. Our BSEGS rating for our building code effectiveness standards, that's what ISO uses to rate us. We're currently, our BSEGS rating is 4 out of 10, 1 being the best. So we're currently going through our BSEGS rating right now, and so we're kind of holding until we do the code adoption, because currently we're on the 2018 codes that we adopted in 2019. So we are needing to go ahead and do a code adoption. It's both good to keep up with technology, new construction methods, new standards of building, new products that are that contractors are wanting to use, as well as safety standards, health and safety standards. Any questions?
Are there any significant changes between the last, the 2018 code and the new one that you're adopting that would affect?
No, nothing drastic. They made the code itself a little more user-friendly by adding QR codes where you could see the minor changes, but I wouldn't see any significant changes that are gonna make any cause a stir, let's put it that way. It's a pretty gradual update with the times.
Can you explain to me the penalty amount? Who sets that, and is there an ability to up that if we needed to?
You know? It's 2,000
think
health
there's-
and safety.
I think that there's one that has, I'm not remembering offhand. I think there's one that has two separate or two different amounts. Which one, Dixie?
But one of them has
One of
2,000
them-
and then 500.
Yeah.
Yeah, any health and safety was 2,000, and you could do it per day. I'm not sure if it's the maximum, honestly.
So, okay, maybe that's where I'm missing it. I didn't see where that was the minimum on it, so I was just curious, like if somebody put in a swimming pool and then it was not right or something like that, and then we had to do a penalty on something, I would say if it's a public system or something like that, then we would want to spend more than $2,000 as a fine on something, so,
Right. But a lot of these you can issue daily, 2,000 daily
nice,
on
okay,
the violation.
cool.
And I can look at that also, because I don't know if that is just something that is up to the cities, or if it's set by the health and safety code. I'm not sure.
Yeah, who said it?
I can double check.
I'd like to specify too, do these address solar panels? I know that's not clear in code in 2018, right? Solar installation and things like
Get
that?
the mic up here.
Oh, okay.
Energy too. Mike Collins, our building official, is here.
Hey, Mike.
Yes,
Can
it
better
is.
answer that.
Okay. That's it. Thanks, Mike.
One
Wow.
more answer.
You could have just yelled it from back there.
No, he needs to be professional.
Any other questions related to this? If not, I'll entertain a motion, please.
Move to approve ordinance 25-H, amending Chapter 5 Buildings of the Code of Ordinances, City of Alvin, Texas, to adopt the 2024 International Building, Swimming Pool and Spa, Residential, Plumbing, Mechanical, Fuel Gas, Energy Conservation, Existing Building, and Property Maintenance Codes, each as published by the International Code Council Incorporated, providing certain amendments and deletions to said standard codes, providing a penalty of an amount not to exceed 2,000 for each violation of any provision hereof, and providing a repealer clause, a severability clause, a savings clause, and an effective date.
Second.
Please vote.
Motion passes unanimously.
Great, thank you. Moving on to item C, consider ordinance 25I, amending Chapter 8, Electricity of the Code of Ordinances, City of Alvin, Texas, providing for the adoption of the 2023 National Electrical Code as published by the National Fire Protection Association, providing certain amendments and deletions to said standard code, providing for a severability clause, providing for a penalty, providing for a publication, providing for a savings clause, providing for an effective date, and setting forth other provisions related thereto.
Yes, and this is just amending our chapter on electricity to adopt the 2023 National Electric Code. However, we are already by default on that code because the state has adopted it, and we have to meet minimum state standards on these codes. So they adopted it, so process has changed where we made sure we weren't, not requiring minimum standards based on state. So this is just a formal adoption to change that ordinance.
Very good. Any questions?
Questions?
If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move to approve, are we on C? Yeah. Ordinance 25I, amending Chapter 8, Electricity of the Code of Ordinances, City of Alvin, Texas, providing for the adoption of the 2023 National Electric Code as published by the National Fire Protection Association, providing certain amendments and deletions to said standard code, providing for severability clause, providing for a penalty, providing for publication, providing for a savings clause, providing an effective date, and setting forth other provisions related thereto.
Second.
Please vote.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. Item D. Consider ordinance 25J, amending Chapter 17, Plumbing of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Alvin, Texas, providing for the reference to the adoption of the 2024 International Plumbing Code as published, with certain amendments and deletions, providing for a severability clause, providing for a penalty, providing for publication, providing for a savings clause, providing an effective date, and setting forth other provisions related thereto.
And this is amendment to Chapter 17 Plumbing, also to adopt the 2024 International Plumbing Code.
Any questions?
Mayor, move to approve ordinance 25J, amending
Yep.
chapter 17, Plumbing of the Code of Ordinances, City of Alvin, Texas, providing the reference to the adoption of the 2024 International Plumbing Code as published, with certain amendments and deletions, providing for a severability clause, providing for a penalty, providing for publication, providing for a savings clause, providing an effective date, and setting forth other provisions related thereto.
Second.
Please vote.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Item E, discuss and consider increasing city council compensation. This was an action item that was brought forth by Councilman Garvey, so I will turn this floor over to you, sir.
Yeah, Mayor, Council, I was, after being on council for going on 5 years now, I know it's been talked about amongst community members, council members in passing throughout the years. And after looking into it, with city attorney's help, the last time this was adjusted was in 2006, 19 years ago. And I wanted to see what council thought about possibly raising our compensation, because I think each and every one of us do an amazing job at answering our constituents. And this time we spend at council, at workshops, at public appearances, meetings, takes away from our families. And I think we should be fairly compensated. I know over the last 5 years I've spoken to Councilman Moore, Mayor in the past, Martin, just in talking and passing. And I think it was about time we discuss it. Maybe come up with a new amount, see what we can come up with, and direct staff to draw up an ordinance for the change and vote on it at the next meeting.
Okay.
So,
Go ahead.
yeah. So, this is something also that I have thought about over the past several years, and I've also voiced it as well. And I've talked a little bit about it. So I was able to also reach out to other councils and cities within our region. And this is a volunteer, our city council, where we're at. We have full-time jobs, and it takes us away from our families and from different times. A lot of people see us just during the council meetings here, but there's a lot of things that we do behind the scenes, and visiting with the public, visiting with business owners, visiting with our residents, especially with people, and getting the phone calls at all hours of the day and evening. And it was kind of surprising how I found in my research that we have a lot of municipalities in close proximity to us where mayors and certain city council members that still have full-time jobs operate as a council on a part-time basis, but pull a full-time salary. That's not what I don't think we should be asking here, but also I see that there's I see the difference in and definitely what we have done to this council as well as our community at a very low cost to us on our compensation. That we're only compensated at $300 when everybody else is several thousands of dollars. I think that a fair amount based upon wear and tear on our vehicles, because we don't have city-owned vehicles, we don't have city-owned property, we use our own stuff. And so my personal belief is that we should look into moving up to where council members should be compensated at $1,500 and the mayor should be compensated at $3,000. That's just my recommendation, based upon the amount of stuff that we do throughout the whole entire year.
I'm going to disagree with both of y'all. I think first and foremost, I think it doesn't build goodwill or trust when it comes to staff or our citizens. I believe like when it comes to like giving ourselves a pay raise, no job. I'm sure we all feel like in our regular full-time jobs that we should all get a pay raise, but we can't decide to give ourselves a pay raise. Only people, well, yeah, you can, but you're self-employed. But people who are upheld to a boss, which our bosses would be the constituents, determine by our job performance if we should be evaluated with a raise. So, and the only job that really allows that in a government body is Congress to give themselves pay raises. So I believe if we really wanted to look at reevaluating the city council's pay, I think that should be subject to the voters, our bosses, to decide that. You know, Unruh can't give himself a pay raise. Suzanne can't give herself a pay raise. Why would we give ourselves a pay raise more than double what we make now? That should be, the voters should be able to decide that based on our job performance and see if they determine if that's the case or not. I just don't believe it's a good decision for us to make to give ourselves our own pay raise.
Are any other cities on a voting?
I kind of agree a little bit. It's up to, some stuff is up to the voters.
Some are voter
But
approved, some are charter.
Yeah. But the thing is that who's going to ask? Who do we ask? This is our form of asking. Basically, we have an opportunity that this is just a discussion item.
Yeah.
And our residents can come to the next council meeting and voice their opinion.
Or they can vote.
Or
in a
they
May election.
can vote,
Ours
or
is decided by ordinance,
Yeah.
not by voter approval, not by charter.
Well, it doesn't make it right? It doesn't make it right that just because we are able to give ourselves our own pay raise doesn't mean that's justified. I think it builds goodwill and it builds trust when we allow our bosses to make that decision for us.
What other cities are you referring to that get paid thousands? Because I'm looking at this chart and I don't see that.
I know of, well, I don't want to throw a couple under the, but I do know Missouri cities, cities in Fort Bend County, and to the north of us. There are cities that some of them where that is their full-time job. Well, I'll tell you, like Houston, that's their full-time job and stuff, so that they get compensated very well. There's other cities within Harris County and Fort Bend County. I don't know all of them extensively in Brazoria County that do pull.
Well, I'm looking at the chart that we were provided, and I think that our city is kind of right in the middle, kind of average compared to other municipalities in our area. And so I'm grateful for what we do get, and I think it's plenty. So I'm not inclined to vote for it.
I think another something that reminds me of is an adage: is service above self, right? Like service requires sacrificing, and it's a sacrifice to be able to serve our constituents. And I think when we decided to sign on to that, to become candidates, that we decided to be able to that we have to sacrifice our time to make our city a better place. I don't think compensation should be something that we should be a determining factor of that service.
I don't think it was ever a determining factor for that service, because each and every one of us ran for office multiple times.
Yeah.
Knowing that was the only compensation.
But I guess I'm saying, like, the argument saying, like, because we take away time away, like, we knew that coming in.
Then you can do this exact opposite of it and say that if you're not showing up for things, then we can take your pay away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I know there's some cities that tie attendance into their compensation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I'm all for that.
Get paid anything at all.
How did we get to this number then? Did we vote on it? Or did the council vote on it?
I don't know, that was in 2006.
And everybody that's gotten the money, have you accepted it? Has anybody denied it?
Okay. Dixie said that this was by ordinance, okay? And I believe the ordinance, what year did you say?
Yeah, but so they voted on
Okay,
it, right?
so that was it. Okay,
Yeah.
let me bring a point. From the list here that was given to us, there's 23 cities. Alvin is higher than or equal to 16 of those. That's way over half. 14 of the 23 are charter/voter approved. So, if you want to give yourself a pay raise, put it on the charter. And let the citizens vote, and then go from there. If you do it in the ordinance, that's the same as you writing a check to yourself and depositing it. Let the citizens vote. Do it by charter. Put it in the charter. But right now, like I said, there's 23, and Alvin is higher than or equal to 16 of them. So we're not dragging the bottom. I thought we were, and I mean, I never had seen any of this before, and many a time I joked with Enru or something, like, yeah, $277.05 I get every month, but after tax. But I didn't realize until I saw this, what we made in comparison with the others. So, yeah, there's times I'd like to see us get some at least for gasoline. But in terms of raising it up, no, I don't believe I'm not going to vote per ordinance to increase our pay. But I will agree to put it in the charter, let the citizens vote.
Yeah, Manville just recently put theirs on, and Manville makes more than us. Pearland is double what we make, a little bit more than double, and they're in the process of raising theirs right now. I talked to.
Talk of Alvin.
I know, but they're in the process of putting into the charter to raise their fee now.
How big the cities are, does it?
Yeah, that's another reply.
Yeah,
Some
so
of
I
these
mean-
cities, are these comparable cities?
I mean, you take
Compared-
Liverpool, for instance, they're not gonna be spending that much time. They don't have as many things on the docket as, say, we would on there. So, I mean, to me, I could care less either way, to be honest with you. But, I mean, I think 18, 19 years, however long it is, at least cost of living increases in there. I mean, that'd be a little bit of a compensation either way, because, I mean, it goes into an account for me and sits there. So, I mean, it's not something that I'm waiting on every month to get there to be able to pay my bills or anything with. So, I mean, I do think this is something that we do for the public. It's not for our own benefits type of thing. But I do think that some compensation is necessary in there. I don't think it's not unnecessary.
Back it up. I agree with Chris. When it was initially done, what's the purpose of this? It's a stipend. What's the purpose of the stipend?
If I recall correctly, it was to ensure that any elected official from a district that may be of lower socioeconomics, that maybe they don't have transportation, or maybe they don't have the gas money to be able to get to a meeting, this stipend is to assist that elected official with making sure that they can attend all the required meetings, if that's the best of my knowledge.
So on that end, it would at least be due a cost of living increase, maybe tied to a CPI, to where we're not voting on it. It's just part of the natural process of compensating people to be able to serve freely and not being singled out as requesting that compensation if they need it.
I mean, even if it's not 3,000, 1,500, I mean, that is a huge jump. I would say 1,000 and 1,500 as far as 1,000 for council and 1,500 for mayor. And it also entices citizens to actually run for office and hold their office and do what they're supposed to do to maintain their office. And I would be very inclined to tie it to attendance. You have a base pay. If you make your meetings, you get the full pay. If you don't, you don't.
Well,
Because
it'd have to be
it-
meetings and workshops, not just this meeting. I think all of it, we would have to have all of it in there.
Well, you just tie it to like X amount of dollars per meeting.
Yeah, there's a lot of volunteer fire departments that actually tie their response calls that they volunteer. They get compensated per that. So, say like me when I started as a firefighter 30 years ago, it was $8 per EMS call and $12 per fire call. It wasn't a monthly stipend for volunteering as a firefighter within the fire department. So, I kind of agree with that as well. If it's not that, then if we make 5 meetings and we submit a report to the city secretary once a week or once a month, whatever is set, and I make 5 meetings a week, and then I make all my city council meetings for the month, or say if I travel outside of the area, then there's other mechanisms as well, but we submit that report. That might be an option.
I think that overcomplicates things,
Yeah, I did
you know, but I'm with Glenn. If we're gonna do it, I think the voters should decide. We answer to them, you know, and the fact that there's several cities that do it for $0, I think is telling. You know, it's a volunteer position. You know, it's a stipend. It's not meant to be supplemental income. So, those are just my thoughts on it.
Actually, I actually believe it should be compensated like a part-time job. Personally, not that I would have to get it, but I would vote for an increase in stipend for the people replacing us at the end of our tenure or anything like that too. Because I believe, like like Councilman Garibay says, that it holds people a little more accountable. You know, you can essentially they're going to get fired if they don't fulfill their duties during their term. So I feel like it'll hold people's feet to the fire. It also kind of level the playing field. People that you know, could dedicate all the time that they need to dedicate to it would get compensated for it. So I'm for an increase. I'm okay with the voters voting for it too, but I just feel like it's got to be addressed, and it's at least got to be tied to the cost of living and some type of index. So we're not having this discussion uncomfortably.
Bless you.
So what's
Mayor,
the
do you have any
steps?
idea? How do you feel, Mayor?
This is your deal. I don't get to vote.
Oh. Yeah, it is split.
Then let the
We're not
chips fall.
voting, but we have to give staff direction for what we want to do.
I think everybody's got valid points. Everyone's got valid points. You know, we don't do this for the money. That's clear. We know what we make. We do it because in our hearts we felt like we wanted to do that. Now, you guys also bring up good points about you know, CPI increases and things like that. I personally think thousands of dollars is too much. That's my own opinion. But I'm also not opposed to letting the people vote for it. You know.
Do we have to come up with a number tonight?
If you're going to get thousands of dollars, you better be able to lay a golden egg.
I can get you silver.
I can buy you a golden.
Yeah.
Well, do we need to come up with a number tonight?
No.
Or what the numbers need to be, or,
Well,
because I mean, was this supposed to be voted on next time?
Direction if we're planning on taking any kind of action. So we come up with a number, give them direction if we want to do it this way or that way, and then move forward.
I have no idea.
I would say if this is something y'all legitimately believe in, then just put up to voters. That would be my
Well, yeah, but you
recommendation.
have to have something to direct staff to put up the
That-
vote.
What do you just have
You
staff
can't
to,
just
yeah.
Miraculously
Well, we
come
can't-
up with something out of your butt on it.
Well, they could do an evaluation and
What kind of evaluation?
like how to put it up to voters.
Well,
on
I
the
mean,
next
it's,
May
if you're
election.
doing what is
Next
that
general
thing
election?
Too late for May.
No, the next general election, next May election.
What is that thing called? Not the Constitution thing.
Charter.
Charter. If we're putting up in the charter, don't we have to have the wording and everything that we need to be able to put up there? And the numbers and everything like that? I mean, how,
We put it on any ballot, we have to have
Yeah.
a number for the
Right.
vote on.
When's our next charter review?
2 more years.
2042.
2042.
Yeah, we just
It's
did
been a couple
one,
years.
when did we just do? 23, we just did it? So, it's usually every 4, but like a minimum of 2. Usually, I think is how it reads, every 4 or a minimum of 2. So,
Let the charter review committee decide.
Well, that's what I was kind of looking at is if it's a minimum of 2 years, then we'll do an early one, put together an advisory panel for, like we did the charter review, and then let those charter review members decide if that needs to go on the charter for that election.
Yeah, because I'd like them to get into some more details than just what the numbers are, for cities around. Like, I want to know how big the cities are that they're getting into. I want to know all those kind of things too. Because, I mean, that will affect your numbers on what councils are getting, how much time you're having to put into it and everything. But
Dixie, like, what time of year did we start charter review the last time? Was it summer that we got committees together?
Yes, it's in June, it's in the
Okay.
summer. You appoint in the summer. So
Okay.
if I'm not mistaken, you may be able to appoint next summer and then prepare for,
So that everything's
Following
done
May.
to be on that, so it would be May of 27.
I mean, you also-
Realistically, the next charter review.
You know, these big boys, Texas City, we're 30,000. What are they, 150?
They have a much deeper,
Yeah, they got big pockets.
yeah,
Pearland is what, 3
150.
times bigger than us in terms of population?
more, yeah, they're at 150.
2, 3? So, yeah, I mean, there's major differences, but when you try to compare apples to apples and oranges to oranges, it doesn't quite work when you look at comparing yourself to Texas City. So, anyway.
put on the list, the things to do.
So no action or what?
It's not an action item, it was just for discussion.
Okay.
So, I just did it. Yeah. Never mind. Never mind.
Okay, so as it is, we're not gonna take any action. Councilman Garabay, thanks for bringing this up. Appreciate that. I think maybe whether we wait for charter review or just maybe put together a special committee that's got, maybe one council member, a member of finance, and then, 5 citizens, maybe we can put together some kind of special committee to review this rather than waiting on charter. I mean, we can talk about that, see what that looks like. Okay? Okay.
And I keep this is the first new item for charter, but typically I keep a list of things that come up to add to the next charter review, so
I remember that list.
Okay, thank you. Well, good conversation. I appreciate everyone's input. It's not easy to have these conversations, but thanks for having them.
Glenn's last meeting, can we bring that up after that? No, I'm just kidding. No.
All right, so moving on, we'll consider if any requests from individual council members for the next meeting. You have anything you want to bring up for the next meeting, Councilman Garabay?
No, sir.
Vela?
No, Mayor.
No, sir.
No, Mayor.
I'm all good.
I do, really quickly. I've spoken about this with our city attorney about possibly, similar to a charter review commission, doing the same kind of thing for our ordinances. We don't have a system in place already where we periodically review our ordinances, and I think that it's important that we do that, especially with all the new growth coming that Mr. Chavez was talking about earlier. I think it's important to have us in a position where our ordinances are serving us and where they're gonna work, for us instead of against us or anything like that. Also, it could be something that we might want to consider with this council compensation issue. I see some other cities on the chart do it by ordinance / voter approval, so that may be a way to get the process started more quickly. And so I just think maybe an ordinance review board or like a commissioner board or something possibly even getting the help of our outside counsel if it's too large of a task to handle in-house or whatever the case may be. So we've already talked about it. I just want to formally present it so we can get the ball rolling on it.
And just to clarify, you're not asking for something on the next, actually on the next council agenda, just to get started in the
I want
process?
the ball to start rolling in a formal manner. So if you need to put it on a June agenda or something like that,
Okay.
that's fine. I just want y'all to know that this is something I want to do, so.
Okay.
But it doesn't necessarily have to be on the next meeting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Reports from city manager.
Yes, excuse me. Yes, Mayor and Council. On Tuesday, April 15th, 6 p.m., we have a city council workshop on a new transportation initiative. Wednesday, April 16th, 6:30 p.m., the city of Alvin will host the BCCA, which is Brazoria County Cities Association, at the Alvin Senior Center. All non-emergency offices will be closed on Thursday, April 17th, in observance of Good Friday. Garbage collection will remain on the normal schedule. Early voting begins Tuesday, April 22nd from 8 to 5 p.m. at any voting location in Brazoria County. And early election day is May 3rd, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. You can vote at any voting center in Brazoria County. That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you. Next, items of community interest. Councilman Starkey.
We're getting into hurricane season. Go ahead and start your preparations now. Look things over. Don't be pushed into it, having to rush around and fix everything. And other than that, get prepared for summer. Probably going to be a long, hot one.
Thank you.
No, sir. Nothing, Mayor.
No?
No, sir.
No?
No, sir.
Very good. Okay, well, then, at this time, we're going to adjourn into executive session under section 551, 074 of the local government code for deliberation on the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public officer or employee. The time is 8:15. We are adjourned to executive session. All right, the time is 8:47. We are reconvened back into open session. Is there any activity coming out of executive session? The answer is no. So with that, you are adjourned at 8:47 p.m.